All right, so the file is saved, and I want to show you how to take it back into Photoshop in case you wanted to edit it in Photoshop. So I'm going to choose Export. And in Export, I'm going to choose from all the file formats, I want Photoshop. And now it was New Work AER AI, Adobe Illustrator, but now I'm saving one called New Work AER PSD. And I'm exporting it. And over here are important settings, including this one, Write Layers. Are you with me? Yeah? You should be watching. You don't need to be doing it. You should be watching now. All right, so I've chosen Write Layers, and I'm going to click the color model RGB, and it can't write layers, but if I go back to CMYK, you can write layers, okay? Write Layers, okay, and it is now made a Photoshop file. When I toggle over to Photoshop, and I do open, it's in the Images folder here. Date. Okay, and there it is. I'm going to open it up. And it looks like it's only one layer, right? I said save layers, and it did. It saved layers. But here's the takeaway. If you toggle over to Illustrator now, I strongly suggest you watch. The current situation is there are sublayers, but that doesn't count as an individual layer in Photoshop. I mean, in Photoshop, yeah. In Illustrator, these are sublayers. If I decided, there used to be a tool in tracing in Illustrator where you could take all the colors that you made and put them in a palette, which made them really easy to select, but that doesn't happen anymore. So if I wanted to take these individual items, someday you may need this, and put them on separate layers, there's actually a not too difficult way to do this, especially if I didn't do more than 10 or 20 colors. Could end up taking a little bit of time, but I'm going to show you how to do it now, and I'm not going to do the entire project because it would take too long. But here's what I'm going to do. Please watch. Back in Illustrator, I showed you that everything is on a layer with, in one layer with little sublayers. But if I start selecting, starting with what I think is the darkest color, which is this little circle. Yes. Okay. So I'm selecting this little black spot. There it is, black. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to do select, same, appearance. Now everything that's got that color, which is all of two things, is selected individually in the Layers panel in Illustrator. It's hard to tell where they are, or maybe it's just that one weird little thing. Now, this little blue spot represents anything that is selected, and nothing but what is selected is that blue dot. So if I add a new layer, boom, this is an actual new layer, and I move this dot up onto that layer, okay, really, I want to move it up onto that layer. I should be able to do it by clicking and dragging, there it goes, up into that layer. So now this piece is in that layer. You're like, whoa, big deal. Actually, I'll select another one, select, same appearance, select, same appearance, and I only get one again. But if I add a new layer and I drag this dot to that new layer, that's on its own layer. If you do this like 20 times, you'll get all the pieces. Select, excuse me, same appearance, okay, and add a new layer and drag the dot to the new layer. Each one of these items now, if I hide these, that's what I have on the new layers. It'll take a while. That's why if you want to try something like this, initially you might want to use fewer colors. I'll do a couple of other pieces here, like this piece, select, same, appearance.
Should it be fill color or appearance?
Well, let's see, select, same, fill and stroke. Same amount of things is selected, so I'm confident that I'm doing it correctly.
I'm just asking.
No, I think you ask wonderful questions, and I appreciate you asking them. Okay, so again, I could put that on another layer. I'll just stop there with that. I'm going to save it. I'm going to do export and new work PSD, fine, replace, make sure it's writing layers, click OK, it's done, toggle over, and I need to close this one and open the new one. Hang on there, there's a really good moment about to happen here. So you can start seeing now when I open it up, I can isolate each one of these shapes, right? The fact that you could do this and isolate shapes takes me to another thing I want to show you, which is this. This is a tracing initially of a photograph that I did in Illustrator. Made each of the main shapes into a separate layer in Illustrator. Opened it, saved it as a Photoshop file with layers, brought it into Photoshop. Now what I can do is I can use these elements, like this is the bottom lip. Okay, right there. That's it. I'm selecting it. And then I can go select, load selection, and it's going to tell me here, mouth 01. Yep, it's using the transparency from that layer. I could essentially hide that layer, make a new layer. This should be familiar to you, hiding and showing a layer. And then if you look at a bunch of these things, what are on those? What are these? They're layer masks. And what's happening right now is this lip is selected. So if I went to some other artwork that I have, and I'm just going to do this because it's available, and I select something like this weird blue color, blue-green patch, whatever that is, and copy that, go back over to my file here. There it is. All right, that's what's selected, and do edit, paste special, paste into. It's now put that color in there. Okay, that wasn't a big enough slice. So I'm going to tab back over. I'm going to stay in Photoshop, and I'm going to go back over to here. Okay, I'm going to zoom out, Command 0. And I'll copy this whole thing. What the heck? Command C. Okay. I'll go back over to that again and again. Edit. Paste special, paste inside. Paste into. So it is a way of creating a hybrid artwork between Illustrator and Photoshop, using the Illustrator shapes to create a collage type painting in Photoshop. And as I said, today was going to be about looking at some different approaches or ways of thinking about vector. So I showed you a bit about tracing here. So now I'm putting it in the direction that my lips should go, like that. And again, with that layer selected, Command U, right? I can change the colors of that into something more lip-like, which looks not great, but that's the general idea here. All right, so hopefully that informs your process of what's possible with clipping masks, vector paths, same thing, and working with them in many ways between Photoshop and Illustrator. Lastly, in our document with our Ganesh project here, this one, I want to show you something, okay? This is the last piece of this before we talk about layout a little bit. I know it's been chock full of information day, but if I choose, let's say this guy here, hopefully this is the right one. Yes, it is. What I did here on this design I was messing around with the last 2 days just for fun is I'm using a photo that actually, without the mask, let me take this mask away for a second, is this, okay? And I'm trying to create an image in similar idea, but I'm using all these little weird pieces of different artwork for the fill. Point of this is after it's all inside or making the main collage, which I'm still struggling with getting it to match what I see in my head, I have something else going on the outside, which is this shape, which is really, this is the artwork. But I want it to be like some kind of a patch or central item inside of a shirt or on a label to put it inside of this polygon shape. Was this thing I wrote up there, shape, pen versus shape? That's what I'm doing here, is I'm using a shape, which is a way of making another mask, vector-based perfect geometry mask in Photoshop. So I'm going to hide this one and show you how to do it on this file. I will go over to creating a new shape inside of the shape tools in Photoshop. Here are the shape tools. If you click here, rectangle, rounded rectangle, ellipse, polygon, line tool, custom shape. So I was on polygon, and over here I had put in 6 for the sides. There's actually a little button here that you can switch between star versus not star. I want it on not star. And the color I want to draw this is going to be black. Now, what am I drawing? Please look up. I can be drawing in pixels, a path, or a shape. So now you know a lot about the possibilities of what that would be, path. All right, so I could make a path here. Or I could just make a shape, which is also a vector-based object. So I'm creating a, oops, I'm going to draw it from the middle, shape. And there is my happy shape, making it right angle aligned. That'll do it. But hey, it's covering everything. Why is that helpful? Well, it's not that helpful yet. But right here is the polygon, and you can see it's now going to get a, I'm actually going to throw this away so it's not confusing you. Okay. Now it's going to get a layer mask to it. Boom. Ugh, wrong button. Layer mask. Ah. Okay. Still on the artwork side. Clicked on the artwork side. And then I taught you this earlier. Load selection. It's going to load the polygon mask area. Should be giving me edges to that. Looks a little funny. I'm not convinced I'm doing this right now. Option delete. Okay, I'm flailing. I'm sorry. I'm just supposed to do this. All, Command A for copy. Command C for copy. Command All for select. Command C for copy. And paste this. I practiced this yesterday to show you this, and I'm just flailing here. So give me a moment. I apologize. I'm going to throw it away. Okay? I'm going to create a new layer. Boom, there's my new layer. I'm going to add a layer mask to this layer. Here it comes. Layer mask. Clunk. Okay, with the layer mask side selected, I'm going to go to the shape tools, and I'm going to draw the shape. And the shape should be a black polygon. But it doesn't want to go there, as you can see. Okay, so if I make it instead of shape, and I make it pixels, and I hit return, not happening. I'm going to have to cut parts of this tutorial. I apologize. So it should be, now, yeah, now it's looking like it's not rasterizing it. Okay, let's take a deep breath, especially me. Okay, adding a new layer, adding a layer mask to that layer, clicking on the layer mask side, going to the polygon tool and making sure that this is on pixels. Yes, it's on pixels. Drawing the shape from the center. I should be drawing it on the mask side. Okay, drawing it out and happy with it there. Got it. And this side here is right now blank, but if I fill it with white, Option delete, white is the substance and black is the whole. I'm going to do it again because I had a little flail there and had to do it 3 times to get it right because I'm out of practice. Add, And in fact, here, I'll make this all white. Command A for select all, Option delete is now white. Add a layer mask. So white content, layer mask, black shape. I'll use a different shape just to change it up here. I'll use a custom shape here. I have some other shapes like a shield or something, or a heart or a blob or a talk button, talk bubble. I'll do talk bubble. And then I can do this. Right, if I don't like it, Command Z, start it again. And it's putting that on the mask side. Better, got it. All right.
So when you convert the layer to white,
When I fill the layer with white,
you fill the layer with white.
and then it has a mask on one side, so it's white with a hole in it. The shape I drew represents the hole. Right, so this is white, filled with white. It could be filled with another color. It could be filled with, you know, for some, let's say I was putting it on some specific color blue that I know about, and there it's blue. So I have blue, and I want to see this, what it would look like on a blue background inside of a shape. So I'm clicking on the shape or the mask side, making sure I'm making my object in black on the white mask, because the black is going to show through what's underneath. And I'll just try some other bizarre shape-o here. Okay. Okay. So that is using the shape tools as masks in Photoshop. Shape tools as masks.